Hey there, I'm Julie, and this is the Married to Addiction podcast. If you're here, then you're probably what I call my secret sister. We're in a situation we never asked to be in and fighting a battle we never wanted to fight. We're faith-filled women who are married to an alcoholic, and it affects every inch of our lives. If that sounds like you, then this is a safe place for you to land. Married to Addiction is a faith-based podcast where I help you find the tools and strength you need to navigate your husband's addiction without losing yourself in the process. So please subscribe and tune in as often as you can, because your husband's recovery is important, but so is yours. Hello, and welcome in to episode 112 of the Married to Addiction podcast. Today's episode is called Living on Edge: How Long-Term Stress is Impacting Your Body, Mind, and Faith. So today we're going to be talking about something that has been super impactful for me personally, but it's something that many of us don't realize is happening beneath the surface of our everyday lives. However, it's affecting everything. And if you're the wife of an alcoholic, this is really something that you need to hear. So I wanted to talk about this specifically because, like I said, this is a journey that I have personally been on myself for the last probably year, 2 years. I realized that so many of the things that felt really hard for me had roots in nervous system dysregulation. I hadn't really heard too much about that, learned too much about that. So I dove in to learning and reading and consuming everything I could on the subject. And I started doing work in this area. I cannot believe the difference that it has made in my life. It actually made me realize how long this has been an issue for me. Decades, pretty much my whole life has been affected by this for years and years. And every area of my life as a whole has been affected by this. Now, of course, this was amplified times 1,000 when my husband was deep in addiction. And it's taken me a significant amount of time to kind of reverse some of the impact that had on me, even though it's been years ago, 8 years now. But it really was something that needed to be addressed. And in my experience, it's something that doesn't just go away on its own. Even though it had been so long since I had been through that, I still was experiencing effects from it. Now, just a quick disclaimer here that I am not a licensed therapist in this area or anything along those lines. I'm just sharing from my own personal experiences and the research that I've done personally. So if you feel like you end up needing additional help in this area, please reach out to a professional if you need more support. But if you have ever found yourself saying things like, "Why can't I calm down? I feel so exhausted, even when nothing dramatic is happening." Oh my gosh, that's me. I lived in that place for a really long time. "I know what I should do, but I freeze." I had this issue too. I used to describe it as feeling stuck in cement. I would say, "I know what I need to do, but I just can't do it. I feel like somebody is holding my feet, or I feel like I'm stuck in cement. I cannot move forward." Also, sometimes you might find yourself saying, "I want to trust God," or "I want to have a relationship with God, but I feel numb or shut down." If any of those sound familiar, I want to tell you right off the bat, none of this is your fault. There's a reason for it. And that reason is not because you're weak or broken or not spiritual enough or any of those things. It's because your nervous system has been living in a heightened state of awareness and in survival mode for too long. So I want to talk about what that means today and how it affects every part of you. So what happens when you live in constant stress? Well, when we live in a home that's affected by addiction, especially for a period of months or even years, our nervous system literally starts to change. Your nervous system is the part of you that's designed to keep you safe. So it's constantly scanning your environment and asking, "Am I okay? Or is something dangerous about to happen?" In a healthy home, it gets to rest. But in a home affected by addiction, it never gets to stop scanning and it never gets to fully let go. So you might not realize it, but just hearing your husband's keys in the door or the tone of his voice sometimes, for me, it was a look in my husband's eyes. I could tell when he'd been drinking, or the sound of a bottle cap opening, like we've talked about on a previous episode. Those things can send your body into panic or even shut down before you even realize or know what's happening. And over time, this starts to become a default state for you. That is why you wake up feeling tense. You can't ever relax, even during quote unquote normal moments. You feel either overly emotional or completely shut down. And you try to read your Bible or pray or hold a boundary or anything along those lines, and those things feel impossible. That is not just stress. That is your body's nervous system telling you under the surface, I don't feel safe. So how specifically does this affect your body, mind, faith, etc.? What does it look like in day-to-day life? The effects of this kind of long-term stress show up everywhere. So you might relate to some or all of these examples I'm about to give you. But I want you to, as you hear me describe some of the ways that this shows up in your life, I want you to count how many of these sound like you, things that you're experiencing. So how does it show up in your body? You feel exhausted, but wired at the same time. You might struggle with sleep, tension headaches, or even chronic illness. You get super overwhelmed by small things. You feel constantly on edge, like you are waiting for something to go wrong at any moment. Or you feel numb, disconnected, or just completely emotionally shut down. How does this show up in your mind? You overthink everything. You're always on edge or feeling like you can't relax. You snap easily. You snap at people. You snap at certain situations, even when you don't want to. You cry really easily, or maybe not at all. You struggle to focus or make decisions. And you replay conversations over and over. You worry obsessively. You feel stuck in shame, those types of things. How does it show up in your relationship or relationships with other people even, aside from your husband? You avoid conflict even when you know you need to speak up. You're stuck in people pleasing. That was me for decades. You find it hard to trust anyone, including yourself. You know what you should do. For example, set boundaries, find help for yourself, speak up, etc. But you just cannot seem to follow through. In your faith, this shows up looking like you really want to feel close to God, but you feel disconnected or numb. You know the truth of Scripture, but it's hard to feel comforted by it. You might even feel guilty for not trusting God more, but you feel like you're just in survival mode. So what was your number? How many of those things did you relate to? Did you see in yourself? If you forgot to count, rewind a few seconds and go back and count. If it's over 5, which I guarantee you it probably is as a wife of an alcoholic, you most likely have a dysregulated nervous system. But even if it's less than 5, all of those things indicate that something along the line is probably miswired. So I want you to know that, again, none of these things are signs that you're failing. They are signs that your nervous system is overwhelmed and it needs healing just as much as your heart does, just as much as your mind does. Doing this work when you're healing your nervous system dysregulation matters so much because you can read every book. You can listen to every podcast episode. You can hear about all these boundaries and even try to implement specific ones. But if your nervous system isn't regulated, these things are going to feel almost impossible to do or to do correctly or to do consistently. It's like trying to build a house on sand. So you need solid ground first. You need a good foundation, and nervous system work is completely foundational. And when you begin to support and regulate your nervous system, everything else starts to feel easier and things start to feel more possible because you can think clearly instead of panicking. You can respond instead of reacting. That's huge. You can set boundaries without shutting down or getting scared that, you're not doing it right. They're not working, whatever it is. You can reconnect with God in a way that feels real, not forced or not like you have to or just habitual. You can finally start feeling like yourself again. Now, this doesn't mean that you're never going to get triggered, because of course we will, especially when we're living in a situation where our husband is in active addiction. But what it does mean is you'll know, once you start doing this work, how to come back to center, which is super important. And you can come back to center over and over again. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this today, aside from the fact that it has been super impactful in my own life and just wanting to encourage you in general to start looking into this for yourself, is I have a way that you can start this kind of healing with me right now, because I'm super excited to announce that the Secret Sister Circle now includes a brand new foundational module that is focused entirely on nervous system regulation, specifically for wives of alcoholics. It's called Stage 0, Signaling Safety to Your Body. And it is all about helping your mind and your body and your spirit feel supported before you start to dive into the deeper lessons. So this module was created with your emotional safety in mind, helping you understand and gently support your probably very overwhelmed nervous system. So in that Stage 0, I give you some simple, faith-aligned lessons that explain why you've been struggling like this and what to do next. We talk about some gentle daily practices that help you return to calm, even in the middle of chaos, which I know you find yourself in on a regular basis as the wife of an alcoholic. It gives you encouragement and clarity for days when you feel things like being shut down or feeling stuck or feeling like nothing is working or feeling like you can't move forward into things because you have that stuck in cement feeling that I talked about earlier. And it gives you tools to begin building real safety in your body so you can more easily apply what you learn, not only in the Secret Sister Circle, but just in general. So this is not therapy. It's not about quote unquote fixing you. It is about creating a safe space for your heart and for your nervous system so you can stop feeling like you're drowning and you can start feeling grounded in God's peace. So that is available to you. If you do not choose to go that route in the Secret Sister Circle, please look into this in some way, shape, or form. Because if you have been struggling to heal, if you've been trying to implement what you've learned, but you keep getting stuck, if you find that you are just constantly spinning your wheels, this is probably the piece that is missing. And again, I would love to walk you through that step by step. So when you start doing work on your nervous system like this, there are so many things that can change. You will just imagine waking up in the morning and not immediately bracing for impact. Have you been waking up every day feeling like that? I know I did for years when my husband was addicted. Or imagine just being able to pause when you're triggered, knowing what to do, and knowing how to return yourself to a spirit of peace, a place of calm. Imagining being able to reconnect with the Lord, even in the midst of this chaos, not just in your head, but truly in your heart on a soul level. You will know how to respond instead of react, like I said. You will be able to sleep better, think clearer, breathe deeper, show up more calmly and consistently for your kids, show up more calmly for your job. Stop second guessing yourself. Stop feeling panicky every time anything happens with your husband. It can just really change so many things in your life. And most importantly, it'll help you start to reconnect with who you are and remember what that felt like. Because the woman God made you to be is still in there. She's just been drowning in stress and fear and exhaustion for a really long time. So changing that is absolutely possible, even with your husband continuing to do what he's doing. And it starts by healing the part of you that's been living on edge for far too long. So again, I would love to welcome you into finding the beginning of that sort of healing in the Secret Sister Circle, which now contains that new stage 0 module where we work on this specifically. I've also added a nervous system reset that I encourage you to do at the beginning of any lesson. It's just a super fast way to reconnect with your nervous system, make sure that you're ready to move forward so you can best just achieve what you're trying to achieve with the lesson and being receptive to the things that I have to share with you in the Secret Sister Circle lessons. So again, as I mentioned in the last episode, there is a brand new URL that you can go to that's super easy to remember, secretsisterscircle.com. So it's sisters plural, secretsisterscircle.com. That will take you directly there to sign up, read more about it. I have not added the information for stage 0 on there as of time of recording because this is brand new. Just rolled it out in the membership, so I have not had a chance yet to put it up on the Secret Sister Circle webpage, but it is in there, and I would love to welcome you in so that you can find the calm that you have been so desperately craving, because you do not have to keep carrying on like this in this state of dysregulation where you just constantly feel panic-stricken all the time. You have been surviving for so long, and God did not create you to just survive. He created you to be rooted in His peace and to feel emotionally safe and to feel like you can come back to yourself. And I would love for you to start that healing today. So until next time, remember, I am in your corner. You are not alone. You are deeply loved, and your healing matters. As always, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time. Quick question for you before I let you go today. Have you been to the Married to Addiction website? If you haven't, I would love if you would go pay it a visit. It's just marriedtoaddiction.com. And over there, you can see just a lot of different information about my podcast. There is a blog on there. There's some free resources for you. And there's also a few ways that you can actually get some help if you need a little more help and direction and support as you travel this difficult path with your addicted husband. So if you haven't yet, please go visit marriedtoaddiction.com. Thanks so much.